What am I going to make for dinner tonight? Hey, James from engVid. What do you want to learn today? Excuse me. What do you mean? Oh, sorry, he's saying, what do you mean? What do you want to learn? We're doing 2 quick pronunciation tricks. When I'm saying that, it's a little bit different. When I say 2 different pronunciation tricks, I'm going to teach you what's called relaxed speech in English, or when we blur words together. Sometimes we blur words, we make 2 words into one. Sometimes 3 words become one. So when you hear it, you think you're hearing 1 word, when in reality, what you're hearing is 3 words, and sometimes we drop the sound. Today, I'm going to give you 2 very common phrases that if you learn to say it properly, you'll sound like a native speaker, which is really cool, right? So let's go to the board and take a look. To start off with, Mr. E, hey, say hi, E. Okay? Mr. E is saying, what do you mean? Try it. If you look in your Google Translator or your phone, you'll notice this word doesn't exist. But it does for us English people. And in fact, it's for 2 different things that are not related. I'll show you a trick so you know what it is you're saying, or when someone's speaking to you, what it is they mean. Let's go. First things first. This is real English, relaxed speech. I have 2 statements. The first statement is, what are you doing? Right? What are you doing? Pretty clear and understandable. And the second statement is, what do you want? They're not the same at all. You can see with your eyes. But when I say it, actually it's going to come out like this. What are you doing? What are you doing? Or, what do you want? What do you want? The sound, this is phonetic spelling, so I'm just trying to show you this. The Whaddya, basically sounds like this, Whaddya, okay? And it's when we've cut sounds, and there's reasons we do it, and I'll explain here why. When we speak very fast, especially when there's a T or a D involved in English, we tend to either change the T to a D, okay? Or we actually just get rid of it. An example is often. In English, you'll sometimes hear people say, often. I often do this. But more casual is to say, I often. The T is just dropped. It's understood to be there, okay, often, but it's just dropped. And a lot of times people have trouble saying the word bottle. You saw my face like, I want a bottle of Coke. It's difficult to say. Even for us, we say, I want a bottle. And that double T actually becomes almost a D sound, so bottle. I want a bottle of Coke or a bottle of beer. We tell you to say T, but we don't even do it ourselves because we're lazy. And speaking about lazy, I want to talk about the second reason this funny thing occurs here where we have Whaddya instead of the words that are supposed to be there. When we have lazy vowels we call the Schwa. Schwa. I'm exaggerating because I open my mouth too much. When you do the Schwa, it's like a you barely move your mouth. In fact, later on I'm going to show you a test you can do to see the Schwa for yourself, okay? Here's 2 examples for you because we barely say them. Like the word problem. It's not problem. You don't say the E early. You just kind of like make it fall with the M, so it becomes problem, right? And when you say family, do you say family? No, you say family. It's family. It just blends right in there, okay? So now we've taken a look at this, and Whaddya, and I just want to explain something, how it happened. Remember we said the T? The T gets dropped here, okay? We just take it out. And the R we don't even say. It goes from here, you see? There goes the T, becomes a double E, right? What are you? And we just drop it right off. Here it's even more obvious you can see it, because we take the D, we make that an A over here. We do that a lot in English with O. We change O's to A. Okay, so here are we. We drop that, we put the T to a D here. Once again, that drops off. And we have Whaddya, okay? So we have from what are you doing to what are you doing? And what do you want to what do you want? Now there's a trick, because I'm sure you're saying, and I would understand, I don't see the difference here. It's the same. I actually put it up on the board, but when we come back, I'm going to show you exactly what the trick is. Are you ready? Okay, are you ready? So I want to go back to something I mentioned earlier on, which was with a sound, that schwa sound, okay? There's a test to see if a word has a schwa or not, or something you can help you practice the schwa. because it's in a lot of English words. We tend to be very lazy and just slur our words. Just slur them, don't say them properly. And here's the test. If you put your hand under your chin, like so, and you say, well, let's say the following words, like freedom, freedom. You can notice my mouth barely moves. If I say freedom, I want my freedom, my jaw drops down more. There's very little effort when I say it normally, freedom. And sugar. Can I have some sugar with my coffee? See, with coffee, you see this movement? But sugar, almost no movement. That's a Schwa test. This symbol is the Schwa. And it's from the IAP system, okay? This indicates to us that the vowel is not to be pushed or said a lot. It's barely said. And you'll see this in a lot of dictionaries or things that are translating from one word to a language to another if they use IPA. Cool? Now we know what the Schwa is. Let's go back to the board and see how we can work on our practice for pronunciation. Now, if you recall rightly, I said this is for pronunciation, 2 pronunciation tricks, but I also lied. It's for listening as well. And I'm going to teach you the listening part in about 2 seconds. All right? Because when you hear Whaddya, if you don't really know what it means, because I've told you there are 2 meanings, you're going to be confused. And I want you to be like a native speaker, understand how to use it and pronounce it like we do, but also to understand it like we do. And there's a little trick I told you earlier, and I'm going to show you on the board now. Let's see if you can catch it, okay? And even after I'm finished, if you're a little confused, go back to the beginning of the video and you'll see I put it right on the board. You'll go, he showed me. Of course I did. All right. He's not here, but he's going to help me with a little dialogue for you so we can practice our pronunciation. First part of the practice, Mr. E. James, what are you doing with that chicken? James, what do you mean? Can't you see we are crossing the road? Okay, you got it. If we change it to how English people actually speak and the real relaxed speech patterns we have, it comes off as this. James, what are you doing with the chicken? Notice I just floated. What are you doing with the chicken? Oh, sorry, that was Mr. E, not me. So let's try it again. Mr. E. James, what are you doing with the chicken? Me. What do you mean? Can't you see we're crossing the road? Right? Cool. That's the first one. Now let's look at the second one. I've shown you the difference with what are you, stressing the appropriate vowels, saying the T as I was supposed to, and when we blend them together to go through quick speech. Let's see later on in the evening what happens when E and James meet back up, okay? E again. James, what are you cooking for dinner? James, chicken. E, what do you mean? James, chicken. He never made it to the other side. Sorry, it's all so funny. Okay, let's try down here. Let's go down here and move it over here, okay? So, E, James, what are you cooking for dinner? What are you cooking? Pay attention to the end of that verb. It's an ing verb. Remember, are is the verb to be, and we're using a continuous form. So if you want to identify what the person means, look for the continuous form. If you see that, that is a what are you statement. Okay? Cool. James again. Chicken. E. What do you mean? Notice there's just an N here. There's nothing. You go, what's the deal? Well, this is in the base form. It's not meaning or meant. It's the base form of the verb. When you have the base form of the verb, it is what do you? Is the what do you statement. So to differentiate or to tell the difference, see the difference, when we say what are you, it will end in an ing. What are you? And when we say it with just the base form, it could be what do you want? It doesn't have to be mean. What do you want? Okay? Still, it will still have the base form of the verb. And that's how you can tell the difference between the two. So here he said, what do you mean? And I said, the chicken didn't make it to the other side. Wah, wah, wah. That's funny in many countries. If it's not in yours, find an English person. They'll explain the chicken in the road joke, okay? Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the lesson. And if you practice this, go by practice, okay, a couple more times. Listen for it. You'll start noticing it. And you'll start noticing you understand more. And when you speak to us, we understand you faster. And that's the whole point of engVid, right? We want to help you learn English. Now, I want you to, don't forget to subscribe, of course, and the subscribe button is somewhere here, 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 and here. And of course, I want to say thank you from E and I, all right? And there's one little thing I want to add. If this video was helpful to you, Tell a friend, get a friend to watch, okay? You learn something, so share the knowledge. That's what we're here for. Anyway, have a good one, and we'll see you again. Don't forget to go to engVid. And where is that? www.engvid.com. See you.